All right, I got that. Now, in this very, very interesting conversation we're having here, are you able to say anything about the context and the backdrop to the whole history of this planet and the human race, or is that off record? I'm not talking about the detail, I'm talking about the generality of it.
I've seen documented evidence, and I've been shown things. I've been told things about the pyramids that just make sense. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
And I know that people like Arthur C. Clarke knew things, but they again had weaknesses.
Yes.
That put them in his case, Sri Lanka.
Yes.
Out of reach. You know, go and read his books. I'm sure you have.
Yes.
You know, the guy is more or less responsible for the satellites that we use today, and the idea behind them. You know, this is a genius. Well, he wasn't really. He just knew some stuff. He was present at things. And until they go and until they go back to the moon and put that in a capsule and bring it back, that to me would be quite something. If they bring that piece back, then okay, I might jump on the bandwagon with everybody else on that one. But yeah, you know, I've seen some stuff, and I've had stuff to explain to me, which does make a hell of a lot of sense. Yes.
Okay. Now here,
you see what I'm saying, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yeah. Now, what the big picture is here, which we haven't actually talked about between us, is extraterrestrial involvement.
You've got to be very careful about that. Oh, just put the question bluntly. You know, most people, all the alternative media, and a lot of people now. I mean, just look, go back to the 50s, right? If you ask the ordinary man in the street in Walthamstow in England whether he believes in aliens, he'd laugh his head off and go and get some pie and mash. If you ask him today, he may well say, yeah, there has got to be something, because he's educated, he knows that vast the universe.
And he's being conditioned by Hollywood movies and television series. Okay. Which is all part of what I mean, we are being prepared to come to terms with this.
But not for the reasons you think.
For what reasons?
They're going to have nothing to do with us. They're there. If you, all right,
the ETs are going to have...
Let's call a spade a spade. Yeah, they exist. There is no conjecture. They do. Yeah, there is stuff. But you know what? That's no big surprise to 50% of people, shall we say.
Right.
But that number's gone up, hasn't it? You know, more and more people realise, you know, more important, you know, NASA have got more and more slapdash about, and cannot, because of the very thing they've created, the media monster behind trying to get money for the space race.
Yes.
Is still there from the 60s.
Yes.
And people, there is a lot of people that are very interested in it. And so because of that, cameras are on the shuttle. And because of the internet and various people that are clever with the internet, Mr. McKinnon and people like that, who I know very well.
Did you know Gary McKinnon?
I'll tell you a story about him later on.
Off record?
Yeah.
That's a shame. Okay. All right. We're talking about cameras on the shuttle and people are clever with computers.
What I'm trying to say is, you can't, there's so many now.
Yes.
You can't keep your lid on everything.
You're saying it's impossible to hide the reality.
And there's a certain piece of video that is quite prevalent on the internet, of a circular thing rolling behind a tether.
Yes, I know that one.
That's factual.
Yes.
A couple of miles across, but it's not a ship, and things aren't what you think they are out there. You should regard space more as an ocean.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got no right to turn around and say intelligent or unintelligent, you know, because then what you're doing, you're comparing things to your intellect, aren't you?
Okay.
And how can you compare that to a human?
Are you stating this as a fact?
Absolutely.
A fact. And what you're talking about here is you're talking about large living beings, like big kind of...
And small.
And small living beings.
Look at it this way. If you've got a shark swimming through the ocean, he's got fish swimming all around him most of the time, picking up morsels, servicing him, and he doesn't eat them. They go right in his mouth.
Yes.
And come out. You know, that's a natural thing,
Yeah.
Is it so far-fetched for you to understand that that could be the situation out there?
Okay. But at the same time, there are some what we could regard as metallic craft, things that you could call spacecraft.
Right.
As well.
Yeah.
Right.
But tell you what, I've got an axe to grind here, so let me grind my axe. Right?
You do that.
Okay, so here you are, you're an alien, you're on the other side of the universe, right, for instance, you're in Orion, you're that far away. Yeah, you're in your ship and you're flying all the way here, and you cross intergalactic space in a fantastic piece of machinery. Yeah, and then you crash in Nevada.
Right.
Rubbish.
Okay.
Rubbish. You're shot down.
Okay.
That's what happened to you.
Yes.
Because you didn't think that there was any kind of particle weapon or kinetic weapon that could do that.
Yes.
Well, you wasn't prepared because it was the first time you came.
Yes. It was got something to do with radar, wasn't it? They discovered that radar would actually do this.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Well, it was quite an aggressive... It wasn't an accident.
Okay. I've got you. So you're saying that the so-called crashes weren't crashes, they're actually offensive actions which were discovered...
I ask you to understand that because you don't cross intergalactic space and then crash in Nevada, do you?
I understand that.
You see, that's my axe there, so sorry, go on.
I've got you, that's fine. So you're saying that initially there was a way of bringing the craft down that was discovered by accident, and then it was more or less, and then it was fairly quickly...
It was a deliberate attempt.
Utilised.
Amazing that it worked.
Yes, right.
And then when it did, So
it's a lucky hit, and then they started to get focused about it.
Yeah, well, they realised that it could be done, and then went down the avenue of trying to figure out how they done it and what actually did cause it, and they needed to look at the thing that they brought down to do that.
Yes. And then
they educated them, so they became much better at it.
Yes. Because then you've got the Americans, mainly, I guess. Was it only the Americans? Did this happen in every country?
No. Let's drop the borders and the nationalities.
Okay. So then you got people who are pretty smart, who got their hands on this ET technology, and that was never part of the setup. That was never part of the plan, was it? It was never part of the plan.
No.
Okay. And what kind of problems has that caused?
Well, you know what we're like. It's not caused... They want to go. We're going to be the visitors.
So that's what the selection's about. Okay, it's about creating a sort of space crew or a
and remember,
new...
This is second-hand, so...
I understand that. A new breed of humanity who will be well equipped to go off into the cosmos like the Crusaders.
Yeah. Yeah, like the Crusaders.
Like the Crusaders. And it's like it's like you've got the spirit of the Crusaders and you give them extraterrestrial technology to move with.
There you go.
And then...
And are any of us in any doubt that we're going to start planet hopping within the next century? Are you actually in any doubt with the technologies available now? Because we're doing it with robots. Personally,
I'm in no doubt at all that we've got a Mars base.
Oh, right, okay.
Is this something you've ever heard about?
Yes.
Okay. Can you say anything about that?
No.
All right. Okay. Do you want that off record?
No.
Okay. All right. That's fine. But for sure, most people who I've spoken to about this subject, who really feel that they do know something about it, will say that we've got all kinds of technology that you wouldn't, let's say that it makes the space shuttle look like a Model T Ford, or perhaps a horse and buggy. So it implies that there are a lot of those crafts, and we're very, very far advanced.
Well, I'll tell you something about those craft that's never come out.
Tell me.
Right, you've got you go to Mexico and something's a mile across, and then you come to Nevada and it's 600 feet across.
Okay.
It's triangular.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So how about it being 10 triangles that can lock in together and fly in the same formation?
Oh, okay.
And then they can split.
Okay. So they fit together like bricks?
Yeah.
Or like pieces?
And can do that in motion.
Okay. Is this and these are our craft you're talking about?
Yeah.
And
modular.
Yeah. And you're telling...
So you can see how easy that would be to confuse every individual, because one day it's a star and the next day it's a triangle.
Okay.
And then it can split up and go in all different directions.
Okay.
You try and explain that. It's got to be extraterrestrial, hasn't it? If it can split up into 10 different pieces when it was one craft and then disappear off quite quickly in all different directions.
Okay. And you have been told this?
I've not just been told it, I've seen it.
You've seen it? Okay. Okay.
Technology is hundreds of years further forward than it is.
Yes.
And not just technology. You've got to understand, if you go back to, let's say everyone loves it, let's go back to the Pyramids age, right? If you were in power at that point, and you knew about electricity, and the man in the street at that point, who was lugging stones around for you, Can you imagine how much more powerful you are than him?
Mm.
Look at what you've learned in the last couple of months and how it's changed your view on things.
Right.
Right?
Point taken. Yeah.
So times that by 1 million.
Yes.
And then put 5,000 years in the spin.
Yes.
So it's not a case of many years technology is ahead of you. It's a case of how many years. How can I put that into words?
I know what you're saying. Yeah, sure. Yeah, yes, I do. And you're saying that some of these crumbs have fallen off the table into the public sector, like onto Apple.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is kept behind the curtain for use of the insiders with their own programs.
Yeah.
Okay.
To keep the jump on everyone else, you can't tell them what you're doing.
Yes.
But when you've got to a point where you don't need to be doing that anymore, and it could make you an awful lot of money for what you want to do,
yes,
and further your endeavours, then you can let those crumbs out, can't you?
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Send them over to Beijing and get them made.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question about this that I've been meaning to ask you for a while, and I haven't asked this question to you yet, and that is that, is it possible that there are sectors, say, of American military private enterprise, what Eisenhower called the military-industrial complex, that are working on things and know things and have control of things that the 33 aren't party to? Is it possible that there are things that they're not party to? And that some people have...
Yes, but only because they don't want to be party to it.
Okay.
If it became interesting, no, there's nothing out of their grasp.
Nothing out of their grasp?
No, because what they'll do is they'll financially help it along, stop it, get control of it. You can when you've got all the power.
Okay.
All the knowledge, shall we say.
Which is why basically what you're saying is that money opens all the doors. Cool. But you're not really talking about money.
No, not at all.
It's not
a concept I even want to talk about.
It's not like
nonsense.
Money in the bank account. It's the control that comes with the ability to shape the economics of nations through a decision that somebody makes. Is that the kind of thing we're talking about?
Yeah, it is.
I remember you described at an earlier stage, you described that these 33, each of these individuals, they should actually be seen as like nation states in themselves,
yes,
in terms of policy making, economic
influence. There is no
influence.
borders or nationalities. That is all pointless. All of that.
Yeah. So that's just part of the wrapping of the package.
Yeah, it's part of the plan. It's part of the education.
Yes.
It makes you fight amongst yourself, divide and conquer.
Yes. Can you say anything about what geopolitical changes we might expect? Like, for instance, there are a lot of people watching this...
New World Order.
In all that stuff.
Yeah.
The North American Union, based on the economic...
Yeah.
The
if it's
European
proven
Union
for them
model.
to do it and it helps for the model, yes, they'll do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all those things are on the table. But as soon as you draw too much attention to any of them, depending on their importance, what your longevity is or the audience longevity is, whether they'll roll it out again in another 100 years.
Okay.
Because if you draw attention to it, they won't do it. And your credibility will go out the window.
Yes. Global currency, same thing?
Oh yeah, no, that's inevitable though, Bill. Come on, if you know anything about economics, you know there's going to be one world government. It's the only way it's going to go. It's got to.
Okay. There's likely to be the removal of borders between, like...
Financial borders.
Financial borders.
Borders won't be removed because that's how you keep people averse to each other.
Okay.
I've got it great over here, you're like shit.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, then you're arguing, right?
Yes. So it's creating the dialectic, but the finances actually determine the real structure.
Keep everyone's nose on the grindstone. They can't look up long enough to wonder what they're doing.
Okay.
Keep everyone arguing amongst ourselves about racial equality and sexual equality, homophobic, Keep everyone arguing about everything because then they're all arguing amongst themselves and we get what we want to get on with.
Okay. Let me ask you one more question, if I may. Okay. Is it going to be convenient to set up a false flag operation to depict the ETs as being enemies?
It's on the table, they're going to do it.
That's on the table, they're going to
do that. That's what the craft are for, that's what the modular things are for. And it's already started.
Okay. Do you know, Is this date forecast
No,
at all?
no dates. No dates.
No dates.
Get off of that.
Just
never is.
Okay.
When people start amassing an opinion and it reaches a crescendo, that's when it will start.
Okay. Okay.
So you're asking me how long does it take the world's population to start getting worried about that?
Okay. It sounds then as if there would be a strategy to start informing people about the ET reality pretty quickly. Now, I presume this is kind of underway. I mean...
4th of July. What's V?
Yeah, all of that, yeah. Independence Day,
the event.
Yeah.
Sorry, Independence Day, I meant.
Yeah, okay.
And so on. Terminator,
right.
Whatever you like.
But are we ever going to get Obama holding a press conference saying, okay, guys,
Not
we need
him,
to square with you?
But someone will.
Somebody will?
Yeah.
Do you know anything about that at all?
No, because it's not there yet, is it?
So it's not there yet.
There's a drip happening. And the bucket, you're asking me how long that bucket's going to take to fill, but the drip might slow up or speed up.
Yeah.
You know, so that makes my guess wrong.
I wondered if any decision had been made about that, but you're saying it's just a general direction. They're going in a general direction.
Yeah. And meanwhile, technology's coming on. It's getting better.
Yes. Yes.
More convincing.
Okay.
So there's no hurry.
Okay. Interesting.
Meanwhile, make education suffer a little, so people are a little bit more dense than they have been.
And additives in food, additives in the water.
That's a whole nother.
That's a whole nother.
Nother video. That's something I know quite a lot about.
Yes.
You know my diet.
Yes. 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 You kept yourself in good shape because you needed to. I understand that. So, pressing the pause button here, and I know that there's some matters here that you need to attend to, and this has been a longer interview than I'd anticipated. I want to thank you for that very much. And it sounds as if there's quite a lot of material that we haven't yet had the opportunity to cover. I would like to ask you to consider the possibility of doing another one if neither of us get into serious trouble after doing this one.
Okay, if neither of us get into serious trouble for doing this one, I'll shake your hand on that.
That's for good. So, I've got to remember to call you Charles. Charles makes it sound very respectable. Okay. So we've got to try and do something.
I do like to sound respectable.
Okay. So thank you. Really thank you.
You're welcome.
Those of you who've been watching this right through to the end here, you will appreciate that we've covered ground. Some things here have never been discussed anywhere, I don't believe, in the media. It hasn't been permitted. We've got a kind of experiment in progress here because both Charles and myself are going to be interested to see what happens over the next few days and weeks after this is released. By the time you see this, it will have been edited appropriately, but probably not an awful lot. We're going to take out some little bit of off-record conversation we had, off-record clarification, as is normal journalistic practice, and then I have promised that I will run this past you for your approval, and if you're seeing this now, it means that you've given it the nod. And then after that, as they say, we're letting it roll.